Hello Internet, your friendly neighborhood gremlin here, and today we're designing Punchy a vacation home. He asks for a vacation home treat. I don't know if that's what we give him or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think this is a treat? I suppose the most accurate description of what we give him is a normcore cabin in the woods. At least I think this is what normcore is. This is sort of normcore in my head, and I'm fairly sure for once we don't make any questionable decisions. Unless normcore is in and of itself a questionable decision. Maybe also the leopard print floor. I don't know. It seemed very appropriate at the time, so that was what we went for. Leopard print flooring, because obviously, right? This build was like really fun to do. I've never done something like this before. It's really not my style, and it's like hardcore beige, but also I really love it. Let me know what you think down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. Is this the kind of thing that you like in your real life? Or is it just kind of like a fun Animal Crossing thing? Or I suppose also you could just like straight up hate it. That would also be fine. Opinions are a good thing. I will not be offended if you don't like a thing I like. The world would be awful if everybody just only liked the exact same things. Anyway, back to the build. Here we are building the kitchen. I don't know why I wanted to put the stove there. I do think conceptually it might be kind of a cool idea. It's not going to work here, so we'll have to revisit that again some other time. As well as the wall. I really wanted the wall, but it was just too narrow. We're going to end up expanding the space slightly anyway. All hail the mighty rectangle. But I do think that the partition was a better idea in the long run, as well as the pillars. The pillars are very good. I like them. And we're gonna need another one in a minute anyway, because we are, I believe, about to move on to the living room. I also do enjoy that the cat tower is just like right there, prominent, important space in the room. But here we are picking out our couch, which is literally just the standard sort of leather couch you think of when you think couch, or what I think of when I think couch anyway. And here we are accepting our fate. The room must be larger. Just wait till we get upstairs, because that room gets real small. I do genuinely believe that I've never built a 4x4 room before, so that was an adventure. A good adventure, I hope. I don't know, we should be talking about that when we get there. But here we are pulling in our patchwork chair, which I can only use in exactly one pattern. And he asked for the retro TV, so he is definitely getting a retro TV. Though when you really stop and look at it, it feels like it's very short compared to the couch. I do genuinely believe that nobody was on scale control while they were building Animal Crossing. I mean, what else would explain the fact that none of the things are in scale to each other? I do really want to know how it is they decide which items they're going to be excited about. Is it some sort of like algorithm? Does it have to do with like their favorite styles and colors? Is there like a secret list of things that go with the theme of the build that they have decided and encoded into the game but aren't things that they asked for? I don't know that I've noticed them get excited about things that they've asked for. Maybe it's only certain things that they asked for. I don't know. If you know the secret, do tell me, because I need to know. Anyway, here's the third pillar coming in handy, because the bookshelves were just slightly too small. Maybe let me know if you preferred the pillar in the middle, or how I have it on the end. I think I like it on the end better, but the middle was interesting. And now we're gonna put this too large shelf in here, because I really wanted it to be there. And so it will indeed be there. Maybe we can add this to my list of questionable decisions I promised we weren't making. And now we are building a little reading nook on the floor. I don't know that it works the way I wanted it to work in my head, especially because like I would have added a blanket and had the pillow sitting sort of up against the wall. Is this the kind of thing you guys ever did as kids? Sort of build yourself tiny reading nooks on the floor in little corners? Because this was one of my favorite things to do. Probably still is. I do love to put myself in a tiny corner, but then I am also part gremlin. Anyway, I suppose you can let me know how successful you think I was down in the comments below. Here we are trying to add a floor lamp because I want it to fit, but Animal Crossing makes everything too big, so we instead turned to plan B, which is the small, super normal lamp, which we'll get to in a minute. Here we are back doing kitchen stuff again. I do love that we get to use that carp on a cutting board item, which is an item I have absolutely never used in Animal Crossing before. At least I don't think so, but Punchy is a cat, so it seemed appropriate. There isn't really a large amount of things to say about the build, because we were just going for like as normal as possible, but he did get really excited about those nuts, which always makes me feel good. I love when they get excited about the things I put in their room. I am just realizing now that that may be shock as in horror rather than excitement. We are now back in the living room again, and we've added that lamp I promised we would, along with this stereo, which I feel like looks way too large. And now we pull out some cactuses for that little rattan table over there. I did consider the succulents, but I thought the gray tin was a little bit jarring. And also the books. Don't forget about the books. The books are important. We are indeed fully just going to make those books entirely beige. Now, time for the final scan to see if there's anything else we want to add in the downstairs. We are in fact going to add a cat bowl. Do let me know if you think Punchy eats out of the cat bowl or if he sits at the desk like a regular human. I mean, he does want to play with the cat tower, even though that is, again, also not in scale. I guess if it were in scale, it would be very large. So we can give them a pass on that one. We are now headed into wall item territory, because these walls are painfully plain, and we're gonna get to use some more items that I really never use, along with some staples. We do, however, not use the pendulum clock, or the clock that he asked for, but we do use the light switch, which is real exciting. I do believe at this point it is legally required for me to put a broom and dustpan in every build, and now we pull out my favorite item in the game, the Loch Ness Monster. Though I'm not sure it works here. However, instead of giving up, we instead just mount a fish. You know, only logical decisions here. We also pull out those handy keys, which I've been using in a lot of builds lately. And now we're gonna add what is probably my favorite part of the build. I don't know why it is I love this little poster tucked into that corner quite as much as I do. Maybe it just sort of creates like a lived-in feel, like a real person put that poster up there. I mean, obviously I am a real person and I put the poster there and all of the other things in the build, but like an in-universe person using the reading nook put the poster there. But now we're trying to put some things above the bookshelf because it looked empty there. The whole point of the bookshelves was to fill up that wall, because when your wall is literally the standard wall, it doesn't need to have things on it, I think. But also it's a really tiny space, and I didn't just want to line things up along the top of the wall there. But now we pull out this coconut plant, which I love so much we actually used to, and we're gonna put another one upstairs. And now we tuck the corkboard just behind those cardboard boxes there, which I think is a nice touch. I don't know if he plans to just keep those cardboard boxes there forever, but they seem like a temporary thing. But also he demanded they be in the build, so maybe they're gonna stay there. He also really liked the bird, and as someone who also really likes the bird, I was pretty excited to put it in there. But we are now going to put that little paradise planting pot on the cardboard boxes, and then we're gonna head upstairs. I have to ask him to build an upstairs, because even though I knew I wanted one, out of habit I told him I didn't want one earlier. Not a big deal, I guess. So here we are in my soon-to-be first ever 4x4 build. I don't know that it passes any of like the challenge rules. I think you have to have like a stove and stuff, but I'm impressed with me. Have you ever made any 4x4 builds? Is that the kind of thing that you like? Are you a tiny build person? As you can probably tell, tiny builds and me don't usually get on very well. However, I do feel the style I was going for really lends itself to a small build, and while we do just straight up use the regular flooring and don't change it at all, we do add an accent wall. I'm not sure the accent wall was a good decision, but it was a decision that we made. Again, it ends up fairly simple, but that was what we were going for. It just feels very unnatural to me to leave things all this simple. I just want like 6 more patterns and so many more colors and so many more things. We also add the cat bed because he asked for the cat bed. Do we think that he sleeps in the cat bed, or do you think it's like a Pluto situation and Punchy here owns a cat? I don't know which is worse. Do let me know down below what you think. How does this weird, strange Animal Crossing world work in your head? Here we are trying all the fun walls that I never really get to use, and we're not going to use them here either because we are on the train to Normal Town, and so we picked the safer option. And now we are hearing the last 5 years in my head. I do feel like maybe we should be concerned about the amount of things people can say that will put the last 5 years in my head. And while the train thing is maybe kind of a more unusual thing to say, it is quite as easy as it's going to be fine. It's gonna be fine, just hang on and you'll see. But don't make me wait till you do to be happy with you. Would you listen to me? No one can give you courage. No one can thicken your skin. I'll not fail, so you can be confident, Kathy. I won't lose because you can't win. So that one happens a lot, which is absolutely the kind of thing I should have cut out, or at least for your sake not let go on as long. Maybe we'll cut it in half, I don't know. I do apologize. I don't know that I can sing very well anymore. Who knows? Maybe some of y'all got a kick out of it. And if not that, at least you've got a little look into what my brain is like. all of the time. Is this what other people's brains are like? Do you get like musicals or songs, I guess, if you don't listen to musicals, or even quotes from movies that play automatically in your head when someone says something even slightly similar? I never really know with these kind of things if it's just absolutely normal, or it's like a autistic people thing, or if I'm just weird. I suppose that's the kind of thing that comes with a late diagnosis. I had the first 28 years of my life where I was just the weird one, and some of those things are autism things, but a majority of them may just be me being weird. Of course, there is a third possibility that other people's brains also work like this, and no one talks about it. Well, I suppose we've just rambled ourselves through the upstairs portion of this build. See, these are the places where I want someone to tell me if I'm doing it right, or if you just want me to talk about the build and not talk about other random things, because I'm happy to do either. Well, I mean, obviously rambling is my natural state, but if you hate it and would rather hear me talk more about the build, I can try to do that for you. I can't fix problems if I don't know they're there. I mean, I kind of know. I'm sure there are people who don't want to listen to me ramble, but that's part of what I love about speed builds, is listening to people ramble. So I don't know what the right answer is. We don't have anybody who's giving me any feedback at the moment. However, now we find ourselves outside, which is, in my opinion, the least successful part of this build. I was in fact not even going to show you the outside, but the video was only like 10 minutes. Let me know if you want longer videos or shorter videos, or what the sort of optimal length for you is, or if there isn't an optimal length and you just want me to go as long as I feel like I need to. I have in fact started turning the speed up in the builds to about 500% instead of 400%, and I think I like it better. Do let me know how you feel about the speed. If you want to be hopeful, I'd appreciate it. If you want it faster or slower, or is 500 good? And here we have selected the gyroid we're going to try and put in this build and fail. Liz just makes it look so easy because they're always cute in her builds, and I just kind of think they look dumb in mine. I suppose that's alright. I mean, I'm going to replace the gyroid with gnomes because apparently gnomes are my thing. There are just so many more gyroids than there are gnomes. But now we are starting to build the whole reason that I actually picked this lot in the first place, which is this little seating corner. However, it does not turn out as nice as I want it to because the chair is too big, and so though I'm going to try and fill that hole a couple times, it's not going to work. But I mean, I suppose it's alright, and the build only devolves from here. I do suppose the exterior ends up passable in the end, but not my favorite. So we are now going to try and scatter flowers about the place. We are going to end up actually giving up on the yellow flowers and going for white ones instead. But first, I guess we're putting in another apple tree. Out of 10, how weird is it the apple trees make a perfect triangle? Please know that this was entirely unintentional on my part, and I have in fact only just noticed. And maybe had I not pointed it out, you wouldn't have noticed it either. But I have cursed you to not be able to unsee it. So we've pulled ourselves a bench for a seating area on the right that fails ultimately, but first we must try and put a workbench on the side of the house. However, we end up with just slightly too large of a gap, and it upsets me. I suppose really I'm spoiling this because right now we're just pulling a bunch of things out, which I had forgotten until just now. And here we are grabbing ourselves the barbecue and the cooler, which will stay. That cooler is another one of those items we have an odd relationship with. I like it in theory, but also it is blue, and I really wish I could make it not blue. Now you can see that space between the house and the workbench that I was talking about. Don't worry, we are going to deal with that kind of, but first we have to accept that these couches are not a good idea. Though I do suppose before even that we're going to pull out the fishing rod stand, which is supposed to be the solution to the workbench problem. I just thought it'd be really cute, and now I can pretend that he caught the fish that he's eating inside. It however suffers the same gap problem, which sucks, but I'm pretty sure we just accept our fate and try to use a very skinny birdhouse to disguise the hole, even though it does absolutely nothing to disguise the hole. So we are now coming to the table, which will show us the seating area can't work, and a bird bath, which may be more sinister than originally perceived because Punchy is a cat and cats eat birds. So now we add in the picnic table, and we are going to keep the picnic table. I'm not sure that I like it, but it is here to stay, so I suppose we should accept that. And now we add the fence, which I do like. I wish it were a darker color because all of the wood outside seems to be mostly darker. However, at this point, finding things I like about this build are few and far between. I probably should have just stopped with the inside. And now we are going to find things to put on the picnic table. This is the first time that I've successfully talked myself into only putting one thing directly in the center of the table, and it's just that little condiment ring because gnomes love condiments, obviously. Do we think maybe I should have only put 3 gnomes so Punchy could also sit down with the gnomes, or would he be too afraid to sit down with the gnomes because, as we have discussed, garden gnomes are evil? Thankfully that disaster is now over and it's time for the reveal. So let me know how you think I did, or how you did when you did Punchy's home. Did you also go super normcore, or have you given him an entirely separate aesthetic? though I guess all that's left is our outfit shots, and then we'll be at the end of the video. I'd really appreciate if you'd like, comment, or subscribe, or do all three. Anyway, I ended up with 33,000 Poke because while I was running around to see whose house I wanted to do, Punchy accosted me. I didn't realize you'd still get the bonus even afterwards. Anyway, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye!